Varis Pathan, I want to begin by asking you, sir, why object to the appointment of a survey commissioner, which, after all, as the Hindu side puts it, is a fact-finding body?
Well, Gaurav, to start with, let me tell you, the country will run on the basis of the constitution and not on the basis of yours or my faith or anybody's faith. And to remind you, Places of Worship Act 1991 is still into existence. The intention, the motive of Places of Worship Act was to ensure that prior to the 15 August 1947, whichever the monuments are, places of worships are, you cannot change the nature and character of those places. Now, racking up this issue, which is already settled in the year 1968, let me remind you, the Shahi Idgah Trust and the Shri Krishna Janmabhoomi Seva Samiti of Mathura, they had entered into an agreement for settlement, which was settled through a court. A court has passed an order. So why to rake up the issue 50 years after that? And not only that, January 9, the case is kept for hearing.
Sir, fair enough. Sir, you've raised two very pertinent points. Let's take this step by step. The first point you raised was Places of Worship Act. Let's settle the question of Places of Worship Act. Then I'll come to the settlement, the second part. Advocate Vishnu Shankar Jain, please explain, sir. Places of Worship Act 1991 is in place, as Advocate Varis Pathan very rightly puts it. The nature and character of a place as existed on 15th August 1947 shall remain. Are you not in violation of the Places of Worship Act here, sir?
No, I think Places of Worship Act has been violated by the Shahi Idgah Mosque. If you will see the reading of my plaint and the compromise, got a very interesting thing I want to point on your channel. What was the suit which was filed by Shri Krishna Janmabhoomi Seva Sangh in 1964? The specific pleading of Shri Krishna Janmabhoomi Seva Sangh in 1964 was that in the land of what is the cutoff date? What is the cutoff date under the Places of Worship Act? 15th August 1947. And this so-called mosque has been built after 15th August 1947 in violation of Section 3 of the is acted in his favor without factual basis. In fact, I am saying on your channel that the Worship Act is attracted in my favor. Because he has changed the religious character by entering into the land of the deity.
Let's take this one by one. Varis Pathan, respond. Places of Worship Act, as Vishnu Shankar Jain puts it, works in favor of Hindus, as papers very clearly indicate. As on 15th August 1947, that place was a temple. A mosque was subsequently built there, is his plea.
Well, this was the same argument which was canvassed prior to the Babri Masjid case. But the Supreme Court has unanimously held that no mandir was demolished to make a masjid there. That was the unanimous decision of the Honorable Supreme Court. But they passed an order under Article 142, which they are entitled to. But then that time also the arguments were that we have already burnt our hands once. Gaurav, kindly try to understand. An affidavit was filed before the Honorable Supreme Court and nothing would happen. But what you, me and the entire country and the world saw was 6 December 1992, which we call it the black day in the history of democracy of our country, wherein our Babri Masjid was demolished. Hamari Babri Masjid ko shahid kar diya gaya tha. So how do you go with that? That is when the Places of Worship Act was meant, all these things were taken into consideration, which Vishnu is now placing before the audience. Everything was considered. Do you think the frameworks of the law, the framers of the law in the parliament, were they not having the knowledge about this kind of thing? Everybody had a knowledge. This was very well settled dispute in the year 1968 itself. Now, racking up the issue prior to the 2024 election, we were apprehending that earlier as well. That when we said, okay, chalo jane do, these things will come again and again. They want to go after 3,000 more. So where do we stand? That is why to stop the hatred between the two communities, to have a peaceful communal harmony in the country, the Places of Worship Act was enacted. But now they don't want to follow the constitution. They don't want to follow the Places of Worship. They want to run the country on the basis of the Asta, which is not good for a secular of the country.
But he's not basing it on Asta. He's saying 15th August 1947, that location was a temple. A mosque was built later. But I'll come back to that point because it has to be settled by court. Vishnu Shankar Jain,
Yes.
the Muslim side insists that this issue, you heard Varis Pathan, he says this issue was very amicably settled in 1968. Why reopen a case and why reopen a Pandora's box in 2023 unless the aim is to influence elections in 2024?
Filed this suit on 25th of September 2020. When Varis Bhai had got a stay from the Allahabad High Court for 1.5 years, there was no difficulty. Why did Varis Bhai wait for 1.5 years? If he wouldn't have got a stay on the suit for 1.5 years, the matter would have been proceeded, and today, before 2024, it would have been decided. But he chose to stay the proceedings before the Allahabad High Court. Point number one. Point number two is that this agreement, which was entered into on 12th of October 1968, was entered into by Shri Krishna Janmabhoomi Seva Sangh, which had no title in law, which had no authority in law to enter into such kind of agreement or to file a suit for that matter. The original owner of this property is Lord Krishna Virajman through next friend, and the name of the next friend is Shri Krishna Janmabhoomi Trust. And remind you, and I'm just telling you, Gaurav, with lot of sense of authority, that Shri Krishna Janmabhoomi Trust did not file any compromise. They did not enter into any compromise. I will not speak a single word or utter a single word if Varis Bhai can show that Shri Krishna Janmabhoomi Trust entered into a compromise.
That's a very big point you are raising, sir, but let me get Varis Pathan to respond on the legal aspect that you're raising. Varis Bhai, you're a lawyer. An agreement is with the owner of the property. The Hindu side contends that the agreement was entered into in 1968 was with unauthorized people who were not the owners of the property. It wasn't the Janmabhoomi Sanstha. It was some Sangh that it was entered with, Shri Krishna Janmabhoomi Sangh. That order itself, that agreement itself is being challenged by the Hindu side. Why not let the truth emerge, sir?
Well, Gaurav, it is a lie and an afterthought that after 50 years they feel that the persons who entered into the settlement agreement had no rights. How can you say that, sir? They were before the court. They could have very well gone for perjury for lying before the court. They did not do that. And that is why we say the agreement to settle, that issue was settled between both the parties amicably before the court of law. There was no need for taking up this issue. Only in the year 2020, they come before the nation and say, we want to file a petition saying that, okay, somebody destroyed the temple and the mosque was built. This was the same argument canvassed during the Babri Masjid. The temple is destroyed to make a mosque, but the Supreme Court said nothing of such kind had happened. There is no evidence to connect that.
Different.
That is why we say here also the intentions are mala fide. They want to start a survey, create an hatred, then again they want to go for the mosque. How can they do this now when the Places of Worship Act is in place and the intention and the concept of the Places of Worship Act is clear? That is why they are doing an illegality. It's unconstitutional. It's against the Places of Worship Act.
What is the hatred which will happen?
Violation of the law.
Okay, Vishnu Shankar Jain wants to respond.
No, I want to ask a question.
We have apprehension and after the survey.
Shahi Idgah Mosque, what will be the apprehension?
Why you want to do that? Why?
This kind of apprehension was in Gyanvapi also. And when the survey happened, we found shivling from the Vazu tank. When the survey happened, we found various Hindu signs and symbols from the Gyanvapi. And that's why they are apprehensive. They don't want this survey because this is not a mosque as per Islamic law.